sew on buttons next, but we're going to start over here on the side of the machine where I can show you how to lower the feed dogs. You don't have to do it, but I'll show you why in just a second, why I recommend it. This box right below where the foot control plugs in, you're going to push it all the way in so it stays indented. When you push it in again and it comes out flush, that means that the feed dogs will be back up. Some people push it in, but don't get it all the way pressed in, so if it's coming out, they're still up. Give it a good push, keep it indented, and then let's go ahead and take a look at how we're going to sew a button on. Now, when you pick stitch number 14, which is the button sew on stitch, it's going to recommend foot number 9. It is not a foot that comes with this machine, but it is a darning foot or an embroidery-like foot. For the feet that come with your machine, I'm going to recommend foot number 20 because you can see where you're going. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this down, and the needle is hovering over the hole that's on the left side. So this little stitch that we've got going on here is a sequence. First off, it's going to stitch down on that left side 2, 3, let's see, does it do 4? 3 times, and then it jumps over to the right. And I always hand turn it until I get over to the right side because I want to make sure that the foot is sitting on the button in the right place so that those holes line up with the needle. Then it will go ahead and stitch back and forth a few times with the locking stitches, back and forth, and then it will lock and back and forth, and it will lock at the end. So there's like locking stitches in between everything. So just make sure that the holes line up. Now, on the machine, it will show you that the stitch length is reduced to 0. Now remember, we lowered our feed dogs down, and that pretty much prevents them from just going like this, tapping the bottom of my button. I sure don't need it sliding around at any point during the stitching on process, so that just gives it a little bit more clearance, first for putting the button in and also making sure that it doesn't bounce. So then we can come on back. I did the front 2 first, and depending on your size of button, you could just slide back to the other 2, or you could even turn it around, whatever's easiest to get to. I know some of those small ones are a little hairy when you're sitting on just a little tiny bit of button. Okay, so we're going to do it again. 1, 2, and 3, and then the jump. And test the swing, and now we're ready to go. And you can really do this quite quickly once you get the hang of getting it in, letting it finish its sequence, and stopping. A little extra tip, a little bit of fray check on these threads. They'll never come undone ever again. And if you really don't want to sew on buttons for the mending jobs that you sometimes are asked to do, just go into your closet with some fray check or fray block and dab a little bit on every single button that you have on all your garments, and I guarantee you won't be sewing buttons on that have come loose.